Hello flight simmers, welcome to An Idiot's Guide to the MD-11. Now, from what I've read online, people seem to think that this plane is incredibly difficult to fly, and I'm here to prove to you that it is not. If you have any experience flying the Boeing or Airbus aircraft, it's basically like they fucked and had a baby, and that's what this thing is. Alright, so similarly, we're here cold and dark and freezing Canberra. Come up to your overhead panel. I'm going to show you how to get this thing started in about 10 minutes. So chuck your battery on. As long as you're in cold and dark, and I don't know, for me at least it defaults I've got external power.
Autopilot.
Pitching Betty starts talking. Let's get the ADI, the IRS on. Sings a little jingle. Hit APU power, turn the APU, get her started up. Arm your emergency power, arm your emergency lights, some seat belts. Nice, very cool. Alright, so looking down, what have we got? Got our flight plan. I'll import my flight plan. I'll show you what I got on SimBrief here. So coming up, we are flying from Canberra to Sydney, a nice 30-minute flight. Cullen 1 departure, arriving in Sydney, Rivet 3, kilometre 210, nothing too crazy, 15 tonnes of fuel, lovely. Alright. Now that that's imported, make this quick, send this to the FMC, set your payload and fuel, come down here, flight plan in it, it's right there, cool, we've climbed to 210, I've set a cost index of about 150 because I like to go fast. What's our call sign? FedEx 189 heavy. Here we go, initialise the IRS, come down here, go to Perth. Select your runway, we're at runway 35 today, get your weather information. Right, lovely, 14 degrees, fucking freezing. 1022, so come over here if you want to get if you're Australian, or well, any country that uses the metric system, come up to your fucking EFIS over here, change it to hectopascals, or Litigan, 1022. Now I must preface this with I'm not a real pilot, and I don't intend to be, however I do know how to fly this plane. At least, basically, I'm not going to show you how to do anything crazy, but I'll show you how to get it started, a nice easy flight, any basic flight. It does have a couple of weird quirks, especially with the MCP, entering different modes, heading cell, changing your speed manually, nothing too weird, just took me a bit finicky. All this stuff's in the operating manual, but if you just follow what I do, you'll be able to fly this thing fucking easy. Alright, so APU is good, let's get a bit of bleed on. Nice, aircon's coming in. Right. Now, something to remember is, when you're on your init page, if you don't do this, if you have any experience flying the 777, you'll know when you put in your SID and your star and your weights and whatever, it sets all your altitude restrictions and speed restrictions on this thing. And I'll tell you from experience, I was doing a turn from, I was somewhere in China, I was trying to get to South Korea. I didn't initialise my weights correctly, and when I came back after going to sit on the couch, my plane was in the ocean. So what we want to do is go to init, next page, our weights already here, block, take off gross weight, zero fuel weight, CG, come on, clear that, yep, there you go, now this is fine. Go to your flight plan page, similar to the Airbus, click your departure, SID, we're coming off runway 35, Cullen 1, insert, lovely. Come down. Now, depending on like if you're on VATSIM or whatever, we'll do this after, but I'm not on a live network right now, so we'll go star, ILS 34 left, Rivet 3, insert. This is a good one, but I'm going to show you how to use the heading select properly. It was the first time I tried to do this, I got in trouble on VATSIM, couldn't figure out how to get the fucking thing to turn. That's alright. Go takeoff approach for our takeoff speeds. So here we go, we've got our weather information, we've got our runway selected. Takeoff weight, get my takeoff weight, I want my tax on, leave all this default, calculate. 131, 140. Flaps 25. It says dial a flap, which is silly. Flex to 59. 59 degrees. I'm not going to worry about this, it's totally irrelevant right now. It certainly is in the real world, but I don't care. So for stabiliser trim, we've got 10.8 units of trim. Bring that in. You can see over on this screen over here, stab, this is your trim units. A lot of people have also been saying that this thing has weird pitch authority issues, like sudden pitch up attitude and stuff. I haven't noticed, but as long as you fly smoothly, and I'm using the honeycomb Bravo, honeycomb yoke, it's pretty easy to control. Come on. There we go, nice, 10.8 stem. So what do we got? Engine ignition not armed. Select ignition is required, so engine ignition's up here, just select A. Cool, here, your packs to turn off. Alright, ready to start. We're in a position here where we don't need to push back. I'm just going to turn around. Just come down here, everything's good. Engine start, we'll start engine number 3. Now you can wait for like the 737 until you're at 2.4 on your N1 and kick it, put the fuel in, but you don't have to. So, because I'm lazy and I want to get going, just chuck it on. Lovely. So we'll put our V2 speed in here. 3. While we're at it, come down to your services page, GPU off, shocks off, start with the brakes. Sweet. Start a cutout. Wait. 2. While we're at it, may as well dial the flap. What have we got again? 25 degrees of flaps. Come in here. This is your dial the flap, your flap selection essentially. So just flap that up. 25 degrees of flap. Very cool. Start a cutout. Get engine 1 started. So I've got a config warning, so what we need to do is come up here, here's your auto brake, set it to takeoff, spoilers. I like to set up a bit higher, you might notice, you own this aircraft. It's, especially on takeoff, when you're doing short haul flights on this thing, it's got a very, very aggressive pitch attitude. It can take you up to 20, the flight director might take you up to 20 plus degrees. You can fold it if you want. I usually take up to 20 degrees, up to about 500 feet, then come down to 15, then 12.5 for acceleration. It's up to you though, this thing is very powerful, especially at light weights. Okay, start a cutout there, one's coming in, very nice. Alright, I'm happy with that. So, let's turn this off, chuck your beacon on, taxi light on. Ready to rock, so let's zoom in on the map here, decrease, very nice, pop the button brake off, start taxiing. This thing, taxi's very, very heavy. I use the yoke as my nose and my steering is probably not ideal. I don't have rudder pedals, but I'm using FS Realistic, so it may look a little more bumpy than usual. But one thing I will say about this plane, which I will explain when I'm on final, in Sydney, is it doesn't like to float. I will flare usually to about 60 feet. It'll just sink. So you got to be careful if you want to kill those battery leavings. Also, when taxiing, something to notice: don't do what I'm doing, because I'm most definitely skidding the nose wheel right now. Set my flaps, pretty smart. There we go. taxiing, crossing runway 35, taxiing at holding point Papa. I'm just going to cut this and come back when I'm at the holding point. Alright, so we're back again. We're approaching taxi point, holding point Papa, runway 35 in Canberra. Now some important things to note right now is this thing doesn't have a standard, it doesn't have a toga switch like in the Boeing. It's not like the Airbus. It's kind of similar to the Airbus where it has a takeoff detent where you take it past 70% in one and the FADEC will pick it up and take you all the way up to your takeoff thrust. So for us today 99.3% in one, 29 degrees Celsius on flex. So coming onto the runway here, going way too fast. What we'll do is, actually, wait a second. Just keep bringing it around. Alright, so coming up to the holding point, show you landing lights on. Give the cabin a ping. Cabin crew. So what we're going to do is we're going to go auto flight, profile, nav, FMS speed. All that's armed. Come around here. Check her out. Very nice. Fucking atrocious line up there, no worries. Right, so what we're going to do is, now we're lined up, just make sure everything's fine. Auto brakes armed, green bar here indicates that the speed brakes armed, landing lights are on, very cool. Alright, let's get the fuck out of here. So, stand them up about 50%, I usually do. 40 will do. Stable. Just push your thrust levers forward, here we go. FADEC's picking them up, very nice. Stick forward up to 80 knots for that nose wheel authority. knots. Back. There's no V-call outs here, so you got to watch. V1. Start bringing it back. That wasn't me. On the low weights, when this thing's trimmed for takeoff, we'll start picking up the nose early. Just got to control it. Alright, we're up. Positive rate of climb. Gear up. Follow the flight director. 20 degrees, fucking absurd. So 4,500 feet per minute, it's not let that hang for too long, come down to 15 degrees. Now we're airborne, trim around. Lady will start screaming in a second.
Stabilizer motion. Stabilizer motion.
Right, we're airborne. It's very stable. Everything's fine. Right, speed's been adjusted according to the flight plan, 205 knots of departure. Very nicely. This thing is lovely to hand fly. I've got the 777, like in other videos, and it was fun to fly for a little bit, nowhere near as fun to fly as this thing, in my opinion at least. If people think the MD-11 is hard to fly, they should try fly the MD-80, that thing's fucked. 205 knots, very nice. Coming up to slack retract.
Stabilizer motion.
I like to hand fly it up to about 15,000 feet. Come up to Vicky here, we should get a speed increase. Still climbing out 2,500 feet a minute, it's pretty good. Camera Alright, so I'm pretty happy with that. But as long as you're nice and trim, leave it where it is and go to the autopilot. Alright, so we're coming up towards our cruising altitude now. Still on FMS speed, profile similarly to the Airbus's profile mode. You see here up to 210. Now let's say hypothetically we're in cruise, well it could be you're on your departure, there's not a lot of traffic around and the air traffic controller says to you cancel speed restriction. So you go, or if you're like me, you're going, why the fuck am I only going 310 knots? I want to be going much faster than that. Like my ground speed's 450 knots, but you see the airframe can do 350 knots, so may as well. If you're like me, you come up to the MCP and go, what the fuck, why can't I change my speed? You go to this, oh, why is nothing working? Press this, nothing happens. Great. So what you do is hit this here, see this down arrow, it pulls it out, select your speed. Right. So select 350 knots. Select it again. Pull. 2 clicks. So one down click, select your speed, down click again, the aircraft will start accelerating. Now you can see that this is your FMS speed. This is what's got calculated based on your cost index and all that bullshit. So now the aircraft will accelerate up to 350 knots. What I like to do is when I get towards my top of descent, which you can see is coming up just after Taral here, I will re-engage FMS speed and let the aircraft decide what it wants to do speed-wise, because it's a pretty smart plane. It'll slow you right down up to final based on what you set up for your approach speed. So let's do that now. So come down to your FMS, depending on where you might be in flight plan, looking at your legs and whatever. Go TO/approach, take off approach. So we're currently set up for a flap 35 landing, but this plane does have 50 degrees of flaps, and I think that's quite cool, so we'll turn that on. 50 degrees, our approach speed's 152 knots with a VREF of 147. Now, unlike the Boeings, well, similarly to the Airbus, when we come down to final, the aircraft will select our approach mode. Sorry, as long as we've got approach here, it'll slow down to our approach speed on its own, and as we get closer to the runway, we'll decelerate for us. I haven't tested it all the way down to the ground, similar to the 787, where it'll bring the thrust levers back when you're in the flare. I normally disengage the thrust levers at about, it depends on how I'm feeling, but usually about 500 feet I'll get back on manual thrust, but I'll try and hand fly as much of the approach as I can. But yeah, so now this is all basically all set up. We don't have to tune any ILS frequencies or any of that jazz, but what we do have to do is, this may not be the most realistic way to do it, but what I like to do is come down here. Alright, what's our last altitude before we hit the ILS? You can see here 3,000 feet. So come over here.
Altitude.
It's 3,000 feet in the altitude window. So now we get here on our profile display, profile to 3,000 feet, hold 21,000. So it's going to hold until we hit the top of the descent arrow here. I'll just wait till you see it in action. I'm not going to fuck around with any of the performance data here, there's no reason to. The FMS has given me an approach speed, and flap 50 it's pretty tight with your speed, so you've got to be careful, especially on manual thrust, because this thing can run away from you pretty quick. Let's get our weather information. We've got QNH 1024, Dublin 1040, so yeah, that's nice. 5 knot headwind, not too shabby, should be good. Fingers crossed coming into Sydney. I believe I'm using the Orbex sooner, I can't remember, it's whatever everyone uses. Can get a little fucky with recording, but I guess we're going to find out. Fingers crossed you can see the landing, and fingers crossed it's bloody good. But yeah, we'll wait to see. We'll get to the top of the descent here. This is the River 3 roll, pretty standard roll for Sydney. If you're coming from south, you're coming from Melbourne. Landing on 16 is all the 3-4s. Air traffic control will normally put you on the River 3 arrival almost every single time. It's a good one because I can demonstrate when you get a vector from ATC with a heading, when you get to when you're flying downwind, how to engage heading select. It's basically exactly the same as the speed, but it caught me out the first time I used it. Yeah, so there we go, coming up now. myself up here. Yeah, add drag. My bad. Go full spoiler just to hurry this up. Yeah, so if you look at the legs here, just like the 777, automatically based on our air rack cycle, we've got all of our altitude and speed restrictions, so it'll follow it down 10,000 feet, it slows down to about 240 knots, 240, 250 knots, and then you get your decel and whatever. Just use squalls to slow down most of the time. But I'll come back when we're on our downwind leg and show you how to use the heading select. Soil. Alright, so we're back. We're on our downwind leg. Had a catastrophic sim failure, which was good. So flight plan's a little fucked up, but we're gonna fucking do it anyways. Alright, so what do we got? Auto brakes medium, armed, speed brake armed, very good. Coming up to Nasho here, so what are we gonna do? We're gonna do a left turn. They usually vect you about 0 60.
Stabilizer motion.
Once you reach Nasho. Coming up 3 miles here. Got a Q&H in. We did this on a while ago. Then increase our range. So leaving Nasho, we're going to go heading 060 and that upper there, arm the approach, same as the Boeing or the Airbus. A bit windy. So we're going to head down here. 3. There we go. Pull. Right, heading 060, turning now. It's an auto. So based on where we're trying to turn
Altitude.
to, it'll determine our bank angle. You see here, a bit shallow, so the heading bug's coming out a bit, so we'll keep that turn coming. But the thing is, it's just going to lock on heading 060, so we need to pull it again. 038, and we'll continue the turn. So I'm knocking on heaven's door here, so we'll pull some slats out. Yep, so now the aircraft's decelerating for us. Now the thing is, when I select my next flap setting, it's going to be based on the dial flap. Now I'm not entirely sure how realistic this is, but oh well, it looks like it's going to be taking us to about flap 11 or something. But if you had it set at flaps 25 degrees, you'd be going straight from slats extended to flap 25. You better keep that in mind. You're going to have a lower nose attitude. Coming up the sausage here, it's armed approach. Land armed. Cindy's just out our window over there. Again, fingers crossed that
Stabilizer motion.
Shut up. Fingers crossed that the scenery doesn't fuck out and you can actually fucking see this landing in a reasonable frame rate. Yeah, localizer. We usually try to put VATs in the clear for an independent visual, but just for the sake of making sure the localizer captures correctly, we're going to come around because you don't really want to do a fucking... You don't want to pass through runway 34 right on your way in. You see, yeah, it's strange. You got to pull this fucking thing out, and then every time you want to adjust your flap, your heading setting, as long as everything is normal, you have to pull it every time. Same with the speed. Coming here, 13 miles out. Comes the localizer. Didn't have to dial any ILS frequencies or anything. Here we go, like a lot of the capture. Nice. So, 12 miles out, let's go gear down. Next flap setting. Gear down, 3 greens. That's what you want to see. Next notch of flaps again at about 10 miles out.
Stabilizer motion.
I haven't set a specific minimum, just leaving it at the default 200 feet. Just line up our head and bug show. Next notch of flaps. Flap 35, here comes the glide slope. Let's take the autopilot out, shall we?
Autopilot.
2 clicks of the autopilot disconnect.
Altitude. $2,500. Chasing that glide slope, see if we can get this thing nice and stable. 8 miles, go full flaps. There we go, just bringing the speed back slowly. Don't want to be chasing that fucking glide slope, so let the fucker stabilise. Still got the auto thrust in, just a touch high. There we go. Localize a glide slope dual, land. Be fucking gusty. Ooh, fucking tailwind. No problem. $700 feet per minute is what you want. Keep my eyes out of the window though, I can't find it visually. 500.
Just like any airliner now, remember 60 feet, start your
400.
flare, because this thing will sink like a rock. Let's take the auto thrust off.
Approaching minimum.
Stable.
Minimum. 200.
Glide slope might fuck out a bit here.
100. 50. 40.
Stay
30.
flare.
20. 10.
And we're fucking down. Not too shabby, eh? We're fucking versus green, decent. Thrust a little whack. Come off the runway here. So do a fucking quick tidy up, flaps up.
speed brake's already down. Fucking water brake off. Quickly just get the APU started. Right, I've exited the active runway, team landing lights off, go back to taxi lights. We're going to have to turn it back on again, mate, because fucking 2.5's here. Take Alpha, cross 2.5, to the freight terminal. Right, lights back on. Not too shabby. Alright, coming up to the freight terminal here in Sydney. It's good we've got a bus right there, it's just standard operating. Yep, so and a van. So we get priority. They flared a little bit early there. Sort of anticipating it, you're not supposed to do that, but you know, eyes the end of the runway. Here we go, on stand 5. Stand 5 Alpha. Look at how fast that gun's going. Slow her up. Fuck's sake. Alright, back on. Shut down. Fucking lights off. Lights on. Radios off. APU bleed on. Coming down services. Wheel chocks. Parker brake off. Ground power. Disconnect now, turn the APU off. Plug the air conditioning in if you want. Off. There you go, that's how you do it, ready for a turn. Alright, hope you enjoyed that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Idiot's guide to fucking flying the MD-11. Thanks for watching, see ya! Also, if you're flying Batsman in Australia, look for me, Bob Ross. You'll see me around. Later.